Hi, we're the team from Blackheath Cooks, a cook shop and cookery school in South East London. My name's Joy.
My name's Alice.
I'm Sarah.
And we're going to show you a fun, easy recipe. Hi, so we're going to show you how to make a number cake. Today we're going to be making a number 1 cake, but you can actually use any kind of number or any shaped tin. This cake works perfectly in any different shape or any different number.
So to prepare a number tin, let's say we're using a number 1 here, but for any kind of shaped tin like this, just get a bit of kitchen paper and some butter. And what you're going to do is just grease the tin by running the paper towel with the butter around the edges, making sure you're getting in the corners. Okay, so once you've run the butter around the tin, you can just get a piece of little bit of plain flour to just dust it on the tin. So what I'm going to do is just hold up the tin and kind of sprinkle some in. And then as you roll the tin round, you want it to try and just cover all the bits of the tin that you greased before. Okay, that's about right. So say, and then when we put the tin on a tray, we're going to line the baking tray again just to help ease the cake off the tray, just a flat baking tray. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to put the number 1 back to front, so that when you so when it's cooked and you need to then turn it out, when you turn it out you'll have the flat side on top, and then the number 1 will be the correct way round.
Right, so our cake tin is ready, floured and greased and on a piece of parchment paper. Parchment paper is much better than greaseproof paper because it actually doesn't stick. Now, the problem with a number tin is that to get the cake out easily, they design them without a base usually. So that's why you have to put it on a flat tray. But also the way they design them, they're never completely flat. So you will always get a little bit of leakage of your cake mix out of the sides, which is absolutely fine. You just trim it off afterwards before you decorate it. But it's really important to fill your cake tin slightly more than you normally would for a cake. So you generally assume that a cake will double in height when you cook it.
So we're going to add the 150 grams of the flora, or butter, and 150 grams of the caster sugar. And we're going to cream those two together. Now I'm using a wooden spoon as opposed to a hand mix, just to mean that I can control my mixing a little bit more, and I'm not going to overbeat it. At this stage that's not a huge problem, over mixing, because to be honest I want them nicely creamed together, getting rid of the lumps of butter and sugar so it's kind of all as one.
And the vanilla's gone in there as well. We're going to make a chocolate number cake, but it's always worth putting a splash of vanilla extract in. Not essential, but it tastes nice. So now we're going to add 3 eggs. Now if you're making a bigger number, so for example a number 8 or a number 6, which might need more, you could do a 4-egg mix, and obviously you would up all the other ingredients accordingly. So 3 eggs. It's always worth putting them in a separate bowl first, just so that you can check that you get no shell in there. You don't have to add the eggs separately, they can all go in one go. We're just doing them like this to show you.
So I'm now mixing the eggs into the cake mix, and it will go quite runny and gloopy at this stage, but that's okay. The most important thing is just to make sure there's no lumps of butter still remaining. So I'm just mixing them enough to make a kind of frothy mixture there.
We've got our self-raising flour, 150 grams to make it equal with all the other ingredients. Now if you want to make a chocolate cake, number cake, all you do is add 2 heaped tablespoons of cocoa powder to the flour. Just add all of that at the same time and mix it in. It may not look very chocolatey at this stage, but once the cocoa powder gets wet with all the other ingredients, it will make your cake quite chocolatey enough. We're also going to add a heaped teaspoon of baking powder to this mixture. Just helps to give it a bit more lift. Okay, and when your mixture looks nice and smooth and glossy like this, you can stop mixing. And at this stage, we are just going to put it into the cake tin. Just going to make sure that we get all the mixture into here. So all the cake mixture's in the tin, and we're just spreading it around slightly so that it fills the tin fairly evenly. So your cake tin is just over half filled with cake mix, and as this goes in the oven, you will lose a little bit out of the sides, particularly if you make a vanilla version of this that doesn't have the cocoa powder in it to make it a bit firmer. So don't panic if a bit seeps out of the sides as it cooks. We're going to cook this for about 25 minutes and then we're going to test it. It's going in the oven at 180 for 25 minutes. Okay, so our number cake is now cooked. We'll pop it on a cooling rack and just test it.
So again, the kind of 2 ways you can kind of test it. We're going to just give it a little touch there. It's nice and springy. Also, I'm going to use a skewer, food skewer, just to push in and just check that it comes out clean. Again, I'll do a widest, deepest bit there. It comes out clean so that I know my sponge cake is cooked all the way through. Now, as you can see, this has started to seep. When it started to cook, a bit started to seep out the side of the tin. The best thing to do now is just to leave it to cool in the tray and in its tin, so that it has time to kind of form together and we're not trying to turn it out. Once it has cooled in the tin, we're going to turn it out onto a cooling rack, and then you'll be able to ice and decorate it whichever way you like.
And you'll just get a sharp knife to trim off the edges
Yeah.
that have seeped out before you turn it out.
And potentially, if you'd have made a vanilla sponge, I'd expect this to have seeped out even more, just to kind of forewarn you. So don't panic, as Joy said, you can just cut round to neaten it up, and that's how you make a number cake. Okay, so we've turned out our number 1 birthday cake, and we've decorated it with some buttercream, and we got the kids to help us put some sprinkles on top. So here's our number 1 birthday cake.